Hey everyone! If you've ever tried to build an IoT product, you know the real headache isn't the hardware, right? It's the back end. So today, we're going to demystify that whole challenge by digging into IoT middleware using a really powerful platform called Favoriot as our guide. Let's see how it can stop you from having to reinvent the wheel. So, you've got this brilliant idea for an IoT product. You've got your sensors, you know exactly what you want it to do, but have you ever actually tried to build the entire back end solution yourself? Yeah, if you're a developer or an engineer, that question probably sounds very familiar. Because, let's be honest, connecting all that hardware to applications, managing the data, making sure it's secure, and then trying to make it all scale, wow, that is a massive undertaking. It's not a straight line at all. It's this complex, winding maze that can eat up a ton of your time and resources just to get through. Okay, so here's our game plan for navigating this. First, we'll really define what this IoT development maze is. Then, we'll introduce Favoriot as the missing piece of the puzzle. We'll see how it brings order to the chaos with its smart hierarchy, how it can talk to pretty much any device, and finally, how it turns all those raw sensor readings into some seriously powerful, actionable insights. All right, let's dive in. First up, the IoT development maze. To really get why these platforms are so important, you just need to understand one concept: middleware. And honestly, this quote from the source material just nails it. The middleware is the glue. It's that critical software layer that sits between your physical devices and the application your user actually sees. If you try to build this glue yourself, you're basically reinventing the wheel for everything from data storage to device management. Which brings us to our next section. If building the backend is the maze, then a dedicated middleware platform is basically your map. So let's take a look at what this map is actually made of. At its heart, this is what IoT middleware is all about. It's a specialized platform that does all the heavy lifting of getting data from point A, your sensors, to point B, your application, and making sure it's stored safely along the way. It's designed to be the foundation so you can get back to focusing on building your unique app on top of it. And this foundation is built from all these essential components that solve specific problems. You get device connectivity so you're not writing your own protocols. You get scalable storage so you don't have to worry about managing databases. And you get a powerful rule engine and analytics tools, so you can focus on building cool features, not basic infrastructure. It's a whole toolkit right out of the box. So, you've got the tools, but how do you even begin to organize thousands or maybe even millions of devices in a way that actually makes sense? Well, that brings us to section 3, where we'll see how Favoriot's hierarchy creates a kind of digital twin of your physical world. At the very, very top, you have the project. Just think of this as the master folder for your entire operation. You know, if you're building a smart building solution, then smart building management is your project. Now, inside that project, you create an application. And a heads up, don't think of this like a mobile app. It's more like a specific use case or a dashboard. So for example, within your smart building project, you might have one application for energy monitoring and a totally separate one for security systems, and each would have its own rules and its own way of showing data. Next, you can break it down even further into groups. This is purely for organization. For a smart building, you could group devices by floor, like first floor sensors or rooftop HVAC units. This kind of logical grouping is what makes managing thousands of devices actually possible. And at the very bottom of this whole structure, we have the device. And this is the crucial part. Each entry here is a digital representation, a digital twin, of a real physical sensor that's out there in the field. This is where all your data comes from. And this table just illustrates everything perfectly. For a big smart city project, the application is the main dashboard for the city administrators. From there, they can drill down into a specific group, like the downtown area, and check the data from one specific device, like this air quality sensor. See? It's a really clean, logical flow from the biggest picture right down to the tiniest detail. Okay, so our devices are all nice and organized, but how do they actually send their data to the platform? Well, this section is all about the protocols. Think of them as the data superhighways that connect the physical and digital worlds. Look, any flexible IoT platform has to be multilingual, and Favoriot supports all the heavy hitters. You've got your REST APIs, which are standard for any web communication. Then you have MQTT, which is perfect for small battery-powered devices sending quick, real-time updates. CoAP is even lighter for those really constrained devices, and WebSockets are there for when you need a continuous two-way chat with a web app. Okay, this is my favorite part. The devices are connected, the data is flowing in, it's all organized. Now we get to the payoff, turning all that raw data into something useful, something you can actually act on. And that is the multi-billion-dollar question, right? Having a mountain of data is completely useless if you can't see it, understand it, and ultimately do something with it. So the first step is just being able to visualize it. A good platform gives you a whole toolbox of dashboard widgets, so you can build graphs to see trends, gauges to monitor what's happening right now, and maps to see where your devices are. But the real magic is in the interactive widgets. This isn't just a one-way street. You can put a button right on your dashboard to send a command back to your device, to turn on a light, adjust a motor, or maybe even lock a door. And finally, you can go beyond just looking at data to truly analyzing it. The analytics engine here isn't just for simple averages. It uses some serious machine learning to do things like forecast future energy usage based on past trends, or automatically spot when a factory machine starts acting weird, which could signal it needs maintenance. And even better, you can train these smart models in the cloud and then push them out to run directly on your devices for real-time intelligence on the spot. Which brings us right back to where we started, that long, winding maze of building an IoT backend. It can be overwhelming. But with a solid middleware foundation handling all the connectivity, storage, and analytics, you're free to focus on what really matters, your unique idea. So the real question is, what would you create? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.